Welcome in, everyone. RFK Refugees podcast. Ted here, John here. You know, John, it's not every day that you get to wake up and say that you have as much experience running a soccer team as the current CSO of your favorite local soccer team.
It's
You
true.
know, it's not every day. It's not every day you get to say that. So thank you, DC United, for giving us that. I can say now. Actually, I have more experience because I played Football Manager at least. Maybe our new CSO played some more Football Manager. We can
I'm
we can we can. We
I'm
can
I'm sure he did, and he probably streamed on Twitch that he did it.
We should find this. We already know that there was a previous DC United player who streamed on Twitch who shall not be mentioned. We'll see if we can find that. John, how you doing, my friend? How was your weekend? I hope it was good.
It was all right. I feel like I have had a really dumb week. I think DC United has contributed to that. I think substantially.
Yeah.
The world has contributed to it. I read a long Substack article about how no one reads anymore and what the consequences of that, and like how everyone just absorbs information through like charlatans talking in short videos using emotion to appeal, and like the loss that comes from not being able to read an argument and actually grapple with it, and that we're losing that ability to function and like critically think. And it bummed me out so much that I deleted like half of the apps on my phone, and I've just been reading old books on Kindle through my. So that was like where my head was.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of the news that broke last week, the chaos that was Tuesday morning. It's man, it's been a dumb week. How about you? Did you have a better week than I did, or at least not have a mental breakdown like I've seemed to have having?
Well, I don't want to say I don't think I had a mental breakdown. I took a trip. I played the old like uncle. Their niece wants to go to the concert's expensive, so your wife's the one that takes them because 3 tickets is just way too expensive, and then you sit in a hotel room, and I watched DC United. I got to ask my press conference question. Then I got to wake up in the morning and had some semblance of sports success watching my Williams driver Carlos Sainz take third at the Baku Grand Prix. So I got some like joy out of sports just watching that. And it's a perfect recognition of a organization that put a very talented, young, and experienced team principal in James Vowles in charge. Trusted him through some pretty rough moments, but kept him on board. He showed some promise. He made some good moves. They didn't just jettison him or fire him. They gave him an opportunity. Now look where they are. Look where they are. They are pushing through the top. They are building an organization. I don't know. That's just the message out there in the void for anyone else running a sports operation about maybe how you run things, and you don't just completely jettison things. But it was overall it was a fine weekend. I think it was an okay weekend. So now we get into it. Now we talk DC United. I guess do we want to start? We could start a little bit on the game. The game feels very.
I mean, I think we chronologically we could just work through the week from right after our show ended to where we are today. I think we could probably just do that.
Yeah, and you deserve some credit, man. I'll let you take the credit. You said on Monday night, you said that you thought Ali Mackay's days were numbered. I said I don't know if numbered is the right word. Maybe I was a little worried about it. That's kind of like the first like canary in the coal mine. The smoke is burnt, but maybe the fire is not as bad. But nope. It was announced literally the next day that Ali Mackay had been let go.
Yes.
Go ahead.
The powers of my predictive ability know no bounds. It was like last week tonight was saying when they were talking about canaries in the coal mine. He's like, the coal mine is all canaries at this point. It's unfortunately, it's just the floor is covered in canaries. I mean, I think, there were a couple things that sort of hinted at it. The fact that he wasn't at the season ticket member conversation where basically pitchforks and torches were being waved in the face of ownership. He wasn't there for that. Everything that came out about the firing made it sound like our mistake was believing in someone that didn't have the track record and being inexperienced, and that's why we didn't. And that's why we made this. They never said we made this mistake. They just said that was what we've learned. We've learned you can't trust inexperience. So they
totally then just said we're going to go with an extremely experienced person to take this job next.
We are
a guy with so much experience, like experience coming out and just like totally qualified, completely 100%.
Correct. Yeah. So Tuesday morning we get news a little bit ahead of time to confirming the report that Ali Mackay is out the door, and there would be a statement from ownership. We were supposed to talk to them that day, as Monday listeners will remember. That did not happen. And then we all got to see the conversation that happened on Fox 5 with Julie Donaldson, where ownership talked about sort of the decisions that they're being made and the choices where they want to get to, where they want the pupusas and the fans and the drums. They want all that back, and the World Cup. All that stuff. We heard all that, and then we had at that point had not yet heard where they were going to go with it. They said they were going to make a decision soon. It was a quick thing. If you remember, the coach was hired, had been in process for months when the move to fire Troy actually happened. So this has probably been additionally going on in the same way. Ali Mackay must have been like looking at his Outlook email box and just seeing no emails from his boss come in there anymore. Like no one's talking to him on Teams, and he's like, man, that's weird. So we didn't know anything yet, but I think Steve was the one. Was it Steve or Tom? Tom.
It was Tom. Steve. Tom. It was Tom was the first one, and then Steve kind of confirmed it.
Yep. So the word was there were two options, and I don't have the second one. If you could Google it for me real quick while I'm talking. The first was Mesut Ozil's agent, with zero experience working at any soccer club, and the other was, I believe, was it the general manager at Toluca?
Yeah, it was Santos Laguna. Yeah, it was either Toluca or Necaxa, I think, at one point, or maybe he had been at Necaxa for a bit.
And apparently, this is a guy they have been circling for a couple years and have been looking at him.
Toluca executive Santiago San Roman was the other candidate rumored.
It sounds like reporting that we've gotten. It sounds like they were talking to him a couple years ago. So this might have been a conversation happening before Mackay was brought aboard. But they decided to not do that. They decided to not go with the hot prospect down in Mexico, and in fact go with this gentleman. We were getting his name right. What do we have? We had Erkut Sogut, I believe, is where we landed on it. So, what to say about this move? Well, but I'll give like a very short resume, and then we'll sort of talk where we feel about this. This man is a doctor via a JD in sports law, I believe, sports law, podcaster, author, of course, self-published author on Amazon of many books. I encourage you guys to check those out. There's a possibility that we do a reading club in the off season where we read through all these books and are ready to go for the beginning of the season. Maybe that's a Patreon feature. What else has he done? He's done a bunch of stuff. He's given talks. He's basically like, imagine the guy on LinkedIn that has like 9 jobs in his like bio thing. That's this guy. This guy is your LinkedIn power hustler kind of guy. And again, headlining the most important thing, no experience at the club level. Siri obviously has been a player agent for quite some time. He was in negotiations and conversations with ownership when Mesut Ozil was being rumored to potentially come here. And then also the coffee shop fiasco. That was one thing, that we may not get the player, but maybe we'll fill in the vacant retail space on the south side of the stadium with the coffee shop. That never happened either. But also he was hired as the headhunter for Rene Weiler. He spoke to the ownership and was like, this is the guy you want. Sure, he's doing front office stuff now, but he was a coach right before then. He's great. You're going to love him. Check him out. And they do that. And they say, yeah, we're going to hire him. And then they said, you know who I really like, though? I mean, we were hiring a coach, but you know who I really liked was that other guy, the guy we talked to all the time. He just had it. He had something. He was the hardest working, smartest guy we've come across in soccer, I believe was the quote. So
By the way, they've had conversations with Bruce Arena as well. I guess he doesn't meet the cut as one of the smartest.
No, he's
guys
dumb. He's dumb
in soccer.
No, nor does he work hard. So,
oh my goodness.
So let's go. What do we think about? What do we think about that? What do we first? What do we think about Regan to Alley? Let's start there. Let's start at the original sin here. Is what do you? Because you said you had I think you have a lot to say about giving up a plan before it's had a chance to be a plan.
There's a reason. People talk a lot about bad CSOs, bad, ownership keeping people around, maybe too long. But there is a reason you keep CSOs around for a long time, because they get started on a path. You went in and you gave Ali Mackay the ability to go out and hire staff. He's hired the GM, the assistant GM, I believe we saw is gone.
Yep.
He hired Kevin Flanagan, of course, to run the academy. He hired all of the scouts, the head people running the data analytics, like all of those people in the office. And he also selected a lot of the players. So you are after it took it, we all saw what happened with this team in 2024, where they had to ride out a bunch of contracts that had been given to the previous regime. And that's what happens when you make a move and go after a CSO and don't and sort of do this sort of midstream. 2024 was supposed to be Wayne Rooney's second year as coach. That was supposed to be his option year. Every single contract was sort of lining up to be that way, with maybe the exception of Christian Benteke's contract. But, they obviously brought him back. But everything in 2024 was lining up to be that sort of that next year in the contract. And you shift gears immediately. You bring in Ali Mackay, you bring in saying you allow your CSO to hire a coach, which we'll get into that in a minute, as to why I think they're making this type of move, is because, again, they went to hire the coach before actually hiring the front office staff. And you make all those moves, and then to suddenly be like 2 years later, it's like you're back where you were. You've got a whole bunch. Now you're in an even, honestly, you're in an even worse spot, because at the very least in 2024, you still, like, a lot of the contracts you had on this team were like basically over the next year. Like a bunch of players were gone, bunch of really high. Now you've got a GM and a chief soccer officer that has chosen a lot of the talent. Mixed results. A lot of people have people who follow the league say, this is like a lowest hit rate I've ever seen. I think that's harsh on some of the talent he's brought in. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that he was not allowed to then go out and get a designated player. I'm trying to figure out, after seeing all of this and then hearing from Stephen Goff that, tensions between the front office and the ownership were fraying. I think that entering 2024, Jason Levy was trying to listen to the fans. He was like, okay, we're going to go out. We're going to hire a young, ambitious GM. We're going to give them control. They can pick the coach. Everyone around us is telling us this is how we should do it. So we're going to do it that way. And then he let him have the reins for 2024. Wasn't much he could really do anyway. And I wonder, I was like, where was the point? Can we see any in the moves that this team made? Where was the point where maybe Jason said, I think I made the wrong choice. I need to step in and start directing this thing, because I don't think my GM is doing a good job of doing this. And I think it was the Matthias Klick trade. I think going all the way back, I think that was the trade. I think Ali Mackay said, I went to Jason Levy and said, you said I could have control of this roster. We need to figure out Matthias Klick. I would like you to put forward the money to buy him out, because everybody, that made the most sense. And again, I have nothing but conjecture. I have no inside information, nothing. And then I think this was Ali Mackay doing the from the Brad Pitt move from the movie Moneyball, where the ownership is, except it's reversed in that you got the ownership saying, sorry, no, we're not going to do that. You have to deal with him this year. And he's like, well, I want him gone. So you're not going to give me the money to buy him out. You know what I do control? I control the ability to make trades. I'm going to trade him. I'm going to dump him to Atlanta. I'm going to take the hit on the DP slot, but I mostly just want him gone. And then there was, of course, the idea of, we need to do the 2-4 game or the U22 initiative. I think ownership said, nope, we have Paul Pogba. We think we can go sign Paul Pogba. We're going to go get Paul Pogba. And I think he said, I'm getting no say here. I have this whole plan I've drawn out. I have this whole idea on how I want to do things. And I'm getting undercut at every single turn now. First, it was not being allowed to hire the coach I want to hire. Then it was not being able to get support from ownership to get out of some of these contracts so we can actually start this rebuild and actually build the team that I think they want to have. And now it's like, I don't even get a choice in what DP we hire. Now I have to forfeit $1 million in GAM. I still think that led to the trade of Teku DiPietro. So I think it was this was whittling down. The season went terribly. It just feels like, again, the ownership group just can't seem to help themselves. But Steve Kaplan or Jason Levian, they are so, and the most frustrating thing is everybody thinks this is just like a real estate gamble. I genuinely think Jason wants to have a successful soccer team. Successful soccer team makes the team more valuable, whether you believe it or not. The problem is he doesn't want to go through the slurry. He doesn't want to go through having Logan Sargent as your number 2 driver. Joke for F1 fans there, or the risks about that. He says, no, I want Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon right now. I want to be winning. I want to do this. I want to be out there like competing and being competitive. I think the Fox 5 interview gave an insight into what they're thinking. They want this team to be good in 2026 because the World Cup's going to be here. And I think it is such an insult to the fan base here in DC. Their line of thinking about what fans want. The whole interview was talking about how just a few years ago we had Wayne Rooney and everything was great. Jason, that was 7 years ago.
Yeah,
that was pre-COVID.
Yeah,
that was Trump. That was Trump's first term. That was before the midterms.
Ted and I had brown hair during that time period. During that era.
That was 7 years ago.
And
talking about the pupusas at the stadium, like, what are you doing, man? So what have you done? What have you done for me lately? What have you done? It's such an insult. He literally thinks that, and I think a lot of soccer executives are overselling the impact that the World Cup's going to have on soccer in this country.
Always.
I think it's going to be a big event. Soccer is already known. I can turn on the TV at pretty much any time on a Saturday morning and watch Premier League soccer. It was not like that in 94. That was a big deal when the World Cup was in 94.
Yep.
Everyone already knows about soccer.
I think you're right.
I've said a lot. Yeah. I've said a lot that it's pretty obvious what their thinking is. I'll get into the Soget decision, but I mean, anything else you want to add? I don't want to take it up. But
no, I mean, I think there are 2 wolves inside of me about this move. One is that I don't think Ali was a very good GM, and I think he was over his skis in general. I carry more water for the argument about the bad player selection. I don't know how much his hands were tied. We'll never know unless Ali wants to DM us and tell us. I really think that'd be a great idea on his part. But to your point, I think once you commit to being bad, be bad through the 3 years. Go ahead. What's the difference going to make? You're going to bring us in and you think you're going to be good next year. I'll bet $1 you won't be. I just bet $1 you won't. I think that you need to own the selection. I think that they used a firm even to hire Ali. They use a search firm, and they've used a search firm for every move except from Wayne Rooney. Own the fact that you are making bad choices. I don't care who your advisors are. Get new advisors. You're not making good choices, and that the buck stops right there. Todd says about the Click situation, saying they made a mistake of putting Birnbaum on the season-ending injury and not being able to buy out Click or something like that, which is not. I don't believe that is true. According to Levian, Troy wanted him out, and Click felt the same. He was blunt and said, "We effed that one up." I mean, they had an opportunity to buy out the next year. I believe Birnbaum was the prior years.
Well, Birnbaum, no, because they bought out the left
Ravel
back.
Morrison?
No, the left back.
Yes.
They bought him out, and then they bought out Birnbaum. Here's what I'll call BS on that. It's been well reported that MLS had been teasing this second. They had to wait a
week. They had to wait a week.
It's well known that MLS is doing that. I guarantee you, if they are so truly out of the loop that they didn't know, the owners are all in the meetings. They're all having votes on this. They're all having decisions on this. I do not believe for a second that Jason Levy and they were not all aware that this second buyout was coming. I do not buy that. And that is an easy out for Jason Levy. And I don't buy that for a second.
Levy, and also, by the way, does not sit on the rules committee. He's not selected for that select group. So maybe he didn't check his email that week. Who knows? I mean, if I guess these are all things we will never know. Where was that information disseminated? If it was Allie, if Allie should have known, that's a mess up. If Jason should have known, that's a mess up for both of them. And why would they not come out? The damage control around that move as it was happening, I think, was very strange. Like, everybody in the world was like, oh, well, obviously we're going to get a lot of salary cap relief back. No. Okay, well, obviously we're going to get a DP slot back. No. All right, so what are we getting? And there was just no real coherent communication. Like, we know we just want to give chances to our young players. And now watch us as we sell our best young player for $1 million. And then later use that same money to buy back an older young player to see where he's going to be. Just not that dog does not hunt for me, I guess is what I'll say. And I don't think it hunts for you either.
Go back and look at how go back and look at how when MLS made that announcement about the second buyout and how quickly teams took advantage of it around the league.
Nashville even took advantage of it right away.
Right away. So this was very much well known. Ownership did not want to float the money. That is an easy. I do not believe Levian for a second there. That is true. And honestly, you're taking ownership of it. So is that part of the reason why you're again, it's just all it's all awful. It's all terrible. And again, to talk about the interview, again, it was kind of embarrassing. Again, it's been talked about. Steve Kaplan apparently maybe forgot the name of the team that he was calling it, the local soccer team.
I've been there.
There was the awkward.
We've been there. Not for DC United, but we've been there for other things.
Yeah. Do you know what the most really the most embarrassing part? I think it was when the Fox 5 interviewer, and I'm not ragging on her at all. I don't think she was given much prep. I don't think she was given much time to prep for this. I think Fox 5 probably called her on her lunch break. It's like, hey, go interview the owners of DC United, or maybe that was that morning. Who knows? But she asked about the beer snake. Oh, do y'all participate in the beer snake? It has got to be the levels of embarrassment. And if Jason and Steve are not so embarrassed in that moment, that literally you have a stadium that is built to play DC United games. And the most known tradition out of that interview comes from the football team, the secondary football team that plays in the XFL that probably won't be here in a couple of years because Dan Snyder sold the team. That the fans of that team have created something more relevant right now amongst DC sports fans than anything DC United has done in the past 7 years. It's truly how do you not be embarrassed by what this is and then throw out this horribly unqualified chief soccer officer? He's unqualified. He is not qualified to run this team. All right, I got more to say. Yeah, any chance you guys could get an interview with McKay and Lassane? Probably not. Those guys still have a year on their contract.
Right. Talk to us in 12 months. Our DMs are open. You can just let us. We would love to have a conversation with you, but we'll see.
Yeah. All right, Eddie. I have some thoughts on the Sogat move. I have thoughts on what's driving it. Maybe it's obvious. What are your any other thoughts? I guess you have about Mackay's firing, anything related to it, and I'll let you have the first word on this.
Sure. Yeah, I think I've been reading. So I think when the news came about, there's like one guy on Reddit that's into this move and is like, what's this really going to give us an opportunity to exploit the international market, which is funny. It's like, that's why it's like, oh, we've never thought of that. We've never tried to do that before. Now we're going to be able to do that because of a guy being an agent for a retired player. I think the entire world is sort of like, this is the burden of proof is heavily on DC United to prove this is not a ridiculous move, because on its face, it is. Every analyst, every podcaster, every league observer has said this is an unserious move and an insult to the fans to bring this guy in here. If it's not, ownership has to do a really good job of explaining why that is. And it can't be that he's hardworking and smart. There's lots of hardworking and smart people that are out there that have done any related job before. I think, we can't know, but it seems very much like this guy. If you're a headhunter, if you are a person that talks for a living, you can talk for a living. You can be very persuasive. You can use the right MBA buzzwords. You know how to there's a thing that happens in professional spaces where when someone speaks like you, and when someone comes from the sort of same milieu and can use words like panoply and throw things out there like that, you inherently trust that person. You see yourself in them and you say, I don't know what it is about that guy, but I like him. And I don't think it's that he reminds me of me. It must be something else. It must be that this guy is in fact just great. I think that this is a really troubling move. The only when I say the positive thing, and I don't want to steal this from you. You've been on this very early about what this means for the coach and what where his power lies. So I don't want to steal that from you. You lead with that and then get into your thoughts about it.
I mean, honestly, I feel like this part of I was trying to find a part of the interview. Yeah, it says we started to think. Here's. I think this is directly from Jason. We started thinking about what we wanted to do with general manager, sporting director side. We learned about Urquhart, and as we talked through the candidates, we really wanted equality to realize they were him. Number one, the strong partnership with Rennie about how to build a squad. Number two, interrelational relationships. So I think they're underselling a little bit. I think this is all about, again, you've already hired the coach, and let's be fair. Renee is showing to be a pretty good coach. Yep. This team is showing to be more well organized. There are players, and I talked about this on my Blue Sky, is like I'm watching players that people wrote off and said, oh, they're terrible. And I'm watching them elevate, play better.
The effort is there in ways it has not been for months.
And I'm like, maybe your GM, your chief soccer officer screwed up in the first coach hiring. Maybe you finally spent the money and maybe the guy's talent evaluation wasn't all that bad. Maybe he actually had some ability to get talent. Kai Rolls has looked great. It was so, the biggest thing was like, I couldn't tell what the difference was between Kai Rolls and let's say, who's the guy who got red carded? Oh my gosh, why am I blanking on his name? The guy who was not, on our team, who got red carded in the game against Orlando.
Bartlett?
The guy who got red carded. Who got red carded against Orlando? He was not playing that game. I can't think of his name right now. Why am I just so badly blanking on it? Anyway, but the difference between sort of the first guys and the second guys, couldn't really tell you difference, and I could tell the difference as soon as from when the Orlando game and then from the Miami game, the DC was able to, at least in the first half, able to very much lock down the team defensively. So that's a difference. And again, Barraza out here, people have been talking a lot about Barraza. So this is all to say, like, Renee has done a good job as a coach. This feels like it feels like the move is more, to me, it feels like that the team has just had such a tumultuous relationship amongst, we talk about the Hernan Losada days and just all the strife that was happening between the coach and the front office. Then they went and hired Ali Mackay, and apparently the same strife developed. And then everything between Wayne Rooney and how that soured very, very quickly between them and the ownership group. It just feels like they hired Renee. Things started to look better. They started to look more competent. There started to be a shift in positivity. And they were like, well, now we don't want to upset this mood. So let's go hire a guy who works well with Rennie. We know he works well with Rennie. And then we don't have to deal with that whole strife between, the CSO wants this guy, but the coach wants this guy. He talked about apparently, and I don't know how much I trust Jason Levine at this point and what he says, but that the team was looking to bring Wilfred Zaha, and they got all of the talks and everything. They were ready to go to make an offer, and then they went to Troy Lesesne, and Troy Lesesne's like, no, I don't want that player. He doesn't fit what I'm trying to do. And so then they stopped everything. And that just kind of shows you a little bit about the chaos, I guess, about how this team is run. Like you would think like everybody would be on board. Like you would have a meeting where you would discuss these decisions. You would look at the players and between the manager, the coach, everybody, and everybody's like, yeah, we like that player. Let's go get that player. That player fits what we want. It's just, it really just shows sort of everything. So I think that's why he's here. Yeah, maybe there's some sort of connection they feel like he has in the international market. That's what he brings to the table. But I truly think it's because he's not going to upset Renee. We like Renee. We want to keep him here. We want to keep him happy. He's brought us, more positivity in several weeks than we've had in months, in years, even you could say. So we want to keep that harmonious like thing going, and we'll take the flack for hiring him. We'll take the flack. We'll look like we don't know what we're doing for this because we know how this is going to come off. You have to be an idiot to not see how this is going to come off as unserious. So that's what I think. Tell me I'm wrong.
I can't. I would tell you that betting the farm on keeping a guy happy who hasn't stayed at a job for more than 2 years since 2011 is probably a bad strategy. 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, 1 year, 1 year, 1 year, 1 year, 1 year. Not looking good. I don't want to make any sort of like widely publicizable bets or make like stakes on what happens when he stays here for more than 2 years. Maybe I think the thing I said before, and I never really go back. I thought I would like shave like little lines in my eyebrows if he stays 3 years, but maybe I'll do that. I bet it'll be a cool thing to do at 43. Remember that. Put that into the logbook of bets for 2028.
Yeah. And again, the ask of what you're asking this guy to do with very little experience is to overturn a roster where next year there is going to be not a lot of wiggle room. Let's talk about the players who are here through 2027 right now, according to the MLS roster profiles. Kim Jung Hong, Boris Enow, Joao Peglo, Matty Peltola, Lucas Bartlett, who just got a new contract. Karamoko, yeah, that's again, Garrison Tubbs, Gavin Turner, that's all fine. But you've got, let's see, of your TAM players, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 7 of them are all here through 2027. And the rest of them have guaranteed contracts through next year. So you are either trying to offload and sell some of these players, or you are trying to figure out a way. It's going to be 2024 all over again. It is honestly going to be 2040. The only bright side is that you look at your player, Christian Benteke, your DP. You do have like you can have 3 DP slots.
And they will, according to the interview, they will be all filled up. That was said before a general manager was even hired, before maybe I'm sure that the coaches had preference for that. But the roster build size out was decided at least in that interview on last Tuesday.
Great. You can save a kilowatt of power emailing the MLS office to not change your designated player model. I really want some information on that. And this is something I've kind of looked like. I don't think MLS has made it clear. I guess when you say you're going to apply the switch, is it possible? And this is why I ask. Like, I genuinely want to know. There might be an answer here that I am just missing, or there might be an answer here that and there may be a perfectly reasonable explanation for me, but tell me, is the reason that you have to basically tell MLS it would make sense. Like before the window opens, that's the deadline. You have to say, this is the model we're going with. And you can't change that. Like once you do, that's it. Here's your GAM, go do it. That would actually make a little bit of sense. That might be the reason why, but so far I have not found anybody who's told me why. But it would make sense.
You want to assume there's a reason, and it's not just that we decided not to spend $2 million that we could have spent on the roster.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because that's a thing that hurts to believe and is like a really hard pill to swallow. So we're looking under the cupboard, we're opening all the sliding doors and saying, is the answer in here? Is the reason, was there something hidden on the back of the rules that we didn't read? It's possible. It's MLS.
Yeah, I mean, you would think too, because apparently, guess who's back, guys? Guess who's back?
Oh yeah, that was where I was going next. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was the guess who apparently is still a part of the team. Apparently, when according to the interview with if you listen to Pitch Pass, they've had coaches show up, and I believe came from Pablo Maurer over at the Athletic that everybody's favorite GM, Dave Casper, is apparently having a role in decisions that are happening along the team.
We got to put our hands up. We were wrong, folks. We were wrong. We told you. We said he is a figurehead, guys. He took a buyout. He's just sitting around. Don't worry about it. We're wrong. He's in there. He's part of the welcome wagon. I bet he's still doing stuff. I bet Chad Ashton's probably still doing stuff. They got a whole retinue of like hidden people over there still working, probably in Asheville.
I will contend that I don't think we were wrong until the summer or until the May or the spring, when it was pretty clear, when it seemed pretty clear that the team maybe was trying to, and who else are you going to do? And they went to the old hand and they said, let's just bring Dave back in here. He's sitting around, we need someone who knows how to run an MLS team. And so that's why he's here. So
Dave was frozen in carbonite, and they thought him out, and they said, it's time, Dave. We need to get some GAM for draft picks in 2029.
I think we were not wrong until, and I think it's changed over this year as the years progressed, that he sort of was kind of brought back into the fold, into the decision-making tree. He was off the bench, kind of ready to go, so to speak.
We were right until we were wrong. We voted for it before we voted against it.
But yeah, what are you gonna do? You got you have your head coach, who I think is taking a more active role really in organizing this team. And you have a guy who's never run a soccer front office. Who the heck? They're going to have to like get up to speed on all these different roster things. And if you need an indication on where it is, in the press conference, I asked, and I debated whether to ask the question. Maybe it was a better Wednesday question. You said it was probably a better Wednesday question. I was like, you know what? This came out on Friday after the press conference. So I think it's a perfectly reasonable thing to ask why we're on the designated player model instead of the U22 initiative model. Coach said he didn't know. You know what? I'm not going to be mad at him. He's new to this. But I think it's more of an underselling. He probably didn't know what the heck I was talking about. He probably didn't know what this thing was. I wonder if anybody, I hoped at least that question would spark and be like, what was that guy asking about?
Right.
Oh, the U22 initiative. Oh, let me Google that. Oh, we could have had $1 million in GAM that we could have used to help our roster. And you idiots didn't do that. What is going on here? Again, he talked about how he wants more players. He wants better players. Yeah.
Rene is the only guy we don't have smoke with right now. I feel like we're big Rene guys right now. So that's the one guy that we don't have any harsh words with at the moment.
Yeah. All right.
They played a game.
Yeah, they played a game. They did play a game. Well, one more thing to talk about. The thing that's come up, the MLS Next Pro team in Baltimore.
Aha, yes.
The long running team, Jason's brought it up again, says, oh, they want to have a stadium. They're supposedly, apparently it's going to be Carolina core. It's going to be a loan relationship. Sounds similar to what they had with the Kickers. It does not sound like they are taking anything over. I mean, on the one hand, I guess it's good that you have a sort of fast track agreement that you can get together and loan players out. On the other hand, it's like, again, it's like, either do something that's actually going to help your team or not. And this is kind of like very much like just a null moment that it's not going to be what they think it is. I don't know, man. How do you see the relationship or the Next Pro relationship?
I'm driven insane by this because this could have been done from the very, very start. They could have pursued two activities at the same time. You could hold two things true at once. One, we're going to build a team in Baltimore. We're going to build a stadium. We're going to link up this region and take this turf back for DC United for player evaluation, for the academy, and all these things. And that's going to help us. And we need to play these young players. We need to not waste years of development. What could we do in the meantime? Well, we could do sporadic loans to the team that we just sold most of our stake and ownership to in the USL Championship, or we could just not send them anywhere. We can send them to Chattanooga randomly in the middle of the year after, I would say, like half a season of not playing. What would you say, probably for Gavin Turner? I'm driven insane by this because they could have gotten an agreement like this from the very beginning, and they didn't. And being on the outside, the only explanation is, to me, is that DC United wanted to keep pressure on Baltimore, making this an urgent situation, that they have to move faster, that they're going to go somewhere else if they don't hurry up and get this agreement done, if they don't allow DC United to build where they want to build. Because there's no other reason why you would do this. There's a cost. The cost argument is null because you have 2 stadiums in the region you could play at them. You could play there. You could also just play at a college. You could play at a high school field. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. I'm sure there are MLS Next Pro minimum level standards that you have to meet. You could find places that do that.
It's third division, and go spend some time at City Stadium, which is a great place. Love City Stadium. Love it to death. It's definitely behind the times as far as a stadium. They've done a lot of work to make it better, but it is still very much behind. There is a lot you can get away with as far as like stadium size and everything else. There are plenty of other MLS Next Pro teams that play at college type stadiums. And that to me just reeks. If you actually, and this is where it gets into the Jason wants to win, but he also doesn't want to have to do, he also sometimes doesn't want to work hard to do it. And this is a perfect example. The MLS Next Pro team is a perfect example of that, because if you really wanted to put down roots in Baltimore, start the freaking team. Have them play at UMBC. Build a community relationship around that team. Get people organized. Hire a staff to go out and do groundwork. Get people, hey, there is a soccer team coming here.
Take some Bobcats players that used to be on that team, some guys that are from the community.
Exactly. Like, promote it. Go to these colleges. Like, you want to show. They are very, very lucky that there is no other ownership group out there in USL that is interested in starting a team in Baltimore. I have no clue why. No idea why, because that area should have a professional soccer team. Go do that stuff. And I think he feels like, well, I did that with DC. I don't want to do that with Baltimore. I think maybe you're right on the pressure. Like, I don't like, but how do you know that's going to work? And how is anybody looking at what, like, the operation that DC United is running and thinking, yeah, we need this in Baltimore? Or they could just wait a little bit and maybe there'll be some other owner that's going to come in. It will not shock me one bit. It will not shock me one bit if eventually some other ownership group comes in and says, hey, we're actually going to start a team here. We're going to play at UMBC. We're going to play in the USL League One. So we have a lower standard we have to start with. But, hey, get us a stadium and we want to vie for the championship. We want to vie for the Division One. We talk about USL and promotion and relegation. I think you are seeing certain organizations. There's been a bit of a boon down in the USL League One. And I think a lot of that is related. You have the Cosmos coming back in New Jersey. Whether it's all smoke and mirrors is one thing, but the promise of kind of this promotion and relegation. And there have been teams out there, I think in Albany, that they were debating between Next Pro and USL. And suddenly they're going with USL because USL is going to have Pro Rel. They're going to be like an actual league. And that's an opportunity to sort of bring some more like civic pride to the area. So you're seeing a lot of organizations kind of flip and say, hey, this league's doing this cool new thing. Let's go join that thing. Whether it works out or not is one thing. I'm just stating that right now, MLS Next Pro is not necessarily looking like the attractive option for, independent type teams. The real big question is going to be with DC is is there going to be some other group that's going to come in? Again, this is better than nothing, but again, it's still not great. Whatever relationship they have with Carolina Core, if it's still happening, they were told 48 hours at the season ticket event. We're now like a week after that.
2 Thursdays ago.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the game. Everybody might log off because 3-2 loss for DC United. Again, performance wise, pretty good. No Lucas McNaughton. That was the player I couldn't remember earlier. So no Lucas McNaughton. He was, of course, red carded. Matty Peltola also out due to yellow card suspensions. They were all apparently at the watch party. Wonder if anybody in our chat went to the watch party or anything, and you got to talk to them. Or hey, how are things going? Like I would have gone just to ask him how things going. I also said, hey, Matty, like your dad's a big fan of our podcast.
Really get him embarrassed.
Exactly. Just turn on the embarrassment. But overall thoughts on the game, I guess DC playing pretty defensive, but honestly looking like I thought they played pretty well in that first half. all things considered. It was, I don't want to say it's a 50-50 game. They ceded possession. They played kind of a 4-2-3-1, kind of relying on Cervania and Jackson Hopkins to kind of like just gunk up the middle. I thought they did a really good job in the first half. It was clear their goal was do not let Messi get the ball. Like just whatever you do, he cannot touch the ball. If you can stop that, you can stop a lot of what Inter Miami wants to do. And I thought in the first half you saw them, very much surround Messi, and sort of that last sort of interception they were able to do it to interrupt and sort of disrupt what Miami wanted to do in that game. Yeah. Any thoughts you have on it?
I think that's true. Cervania's assist was impressive. I think that my main consideration is what I like seeing, the intensity in the press, and then in the midfield coming back to help the wing backs when they're out of possession. I think the line of engagement has changed. It's pushed a little further back, which is good against Miami and potentially against any team. That this team was obviously trying to play more compact. You can't necessarily count for Messi. Messi is going to do what he's going to do, and he did. They were able to keep him off the ball a bit more in the first half, like you said, and only were down 1-0 at half. But I can't be too upset about sort of anything about it. I think the effort was there. The goal by Jacob Murrell, who exits witness protection after 9 months or however long it's been, looked a very confident player, getting us back into the game. It felt like they felt like a 3-3 draw was possible. I think they left it a little bit late, but against a team where the talent is so unbalanced, I think you have to be impressed at where they found themselves at the end. They made it a game, and that's good.
And there's really an argument. I mean, you talk about Caden Clark coming into the game. I think you were musing in the chat that you didn't think he did anything. He nearly should have had an assist.
That was the one thing he did. It was almost a goal, so that's probably valuable.
It almost set up João Pedro. João Pedro tries to like dribble around the keeper. He hits that one time. He puts it where it needs to go. It's in the back of the net. It's 2-2. That situation then flipped where Miami came back the other way, won the penalty kick. Somehow that did not turn into the third goal save there. And again, another call out. Luis Barraza again had just a couple times where he makes big saves. I don't know what you want to do. Like I think a lot of talk has been made about the goalkeeper position. In my mind, I think Barraza is starting. If he can keep this up through the rest of the year, I don't see bring in a guy to compete. I think, unfortunately, that means Kim Jung-hong is gone. I think you'll find a suitor in South Korea that will take him back. Maybe you have to take a hit, but I think you can find somebody that will, at the very least, I think you could potentially loan him loan him back to South Korea, attach a purchase option on it. He'll go back to where he's comfortable, play well again, get some minutes, and be comfortable. But I think Barraza's earned a chance to be that starter. A lot of people have been talking about, comparing him to Alex Bono. I think that's unfair to him at this point. The saves he is making are a little bit of a higher level than what we saw. We didn't see any of this out of Alex Bono, where there were saves he was making that was keeping us in games. The game against Orlando is a perfect example. That game should have been well and dusted. That should have been 3-4-1. And Barraza kept this team alive and kept this team in this game. It was a little bit harder against Miami because they've got Messi, and Messi just, knows where to put the ball and can put the ball in the right spots. But I think, like you said, they showed themselves well. Benteke gets a goal off a header. Great service from Cervania off the right side. And again, the marking, I think defensively, the breakdowns again were, I think, a lot to do with the talent deficiency, and that's kind of what you want to see out of this game. The reason they lost this game was because they have one DP out there. Like Inter Miami has 5 with some players that are taking some lower contracts to fit within that. DePaul's a DP, Messi's a DP, Busquets is a DP, Jordi Alba's a DP. All the rest of the players are here. They're taking a pay cut because they get to play with Lionel Messi. So why not do that?
Did you see who got Messi's jersey?
Was it? You said it was Connor Antley, wasn't it?
It was. I think he's going to sell that and double his salary for 2025. It'd be a smart move.
Maybe. Anything else, I guess, you want to add to this game?
I was Jacob Merle scoring a goal, getting with only like 10, like basically 1 minute plus stoppage time of action, I think is really promising. I'd like to see him build on that as we go along. I think anytime you were thinking about putting Dombaji in, you should put Jacob Merle in for the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I think that should be your major concern. And I wanted to agree with you about Barraza. I think that this team there are enough holes in this boat that I don't think this is the one this is not the hole you got to plug. This is one you can just patch over. And I think that we need a better center back. You said Kai Rolls did well overall since he took back. I thought, I mean, it's hard to judge him really about getting made to look a fool a couple times in this game by Messi, and I think one of their other attackers did a similar thing. It's going to happen. I still think this team needs. We've done a million times what this team needs. This team needs a really good center back. It's just unavoidably true.
At the very least, I look at Rawls and I'm like, he's a guy that can be more of a rotational piece with a actual TAM level, high salary type center back, a guy who can come in and be that sort of towering presence. And then it's sort of maybe him and Bartlett kind of competing. And I think that's something that can kind of raise all boats, so to speak. He's looked a little better. I think McNaughton is been the weakest of our defensive line at this point. I'm ready for him to set sail. He's a player I could not remember.
We're getting a lot of nautical allegory or analogies here.
Yeah.
We're underwater.
All right, we got some questions here.
Yeah.
Let's get to one. DK in PHL says sicko since the late aughts here. Personally, this is the most dire situation the club has been in. 2012, 2013, the product on the field was objectively worse than the current team. Disagree a little bit with 2012, but it still didn't feel as hopeless than it does now. I will say in 2012, we did make the was it Eastern Conference semifinal / I think it was the final.
It was the second highest points per game we've had since 2006.
Yep. Back then there was just a less talent league wide, and the gap between good and bad was easier to close year over year. And there was a general feeling of hope for the future. Once we get the stadium built, some new owners will finally be able to buy big players. In short, the team was dog poop, but people still cared in a maybe next year kind of way. Now I have no faith that the team will be near enough to compete for the championship. Living Captain have real estate holding company with a soccer team attached to it. The on the field product and stadium experience seem like annoying things they're required to do, so they can focus on the business parts of focus on the parts of the business that interest them. I would love to ask them and Sogat when they truly believe DC will be a credible MLS Cup contender. Is there a 3-year plan? My theory is just looking to spend enough for the team to finish between 6th and 9th, get bounced from first or second round of the playoffs, do the bare minimum to get the critics off their back so they can go back to the crypto deals or whatever. I'd kill
for us to be in 6th place every year from here on. That would make this podcast about 150% more fun to do. So yeah, give me that.
I will contend, like, if I still think if this were truly just about like what a lot of people say about this, about sort of the real estate development, then Dave Casper would still be the GM of this team. They would just kind of cycle through coaches every year,
which maybe
they would kind of, maybe he is, but they would not be out aggressive. Think about other owners. Do you ever see the FC Dallas owners, the Hunt family? Are they ever out talking about DC? Do you ever see the owner of the Rapids, who owns Arsenal, and
Stan Kroenke?
Literally Sam Kroenke? Do you ever see him going out and talking about, like, doing the lines, talking to the local podcast media? Jason would not be doing this. And again, you can look at it as cynically as he knows he has to do this to try to convince people this is good because they're bleeding season tickets. People are mad. The pitchforks, everybody's upset. Or worse, there are plenty of people that just do not care anymore. They're just like, we're done. I'm done with season tickets. I'm done this. They can see those in the numbers. But that all comes from the fact that they want to build a good team because they know that all leads to more of what they want, if you want to look at it like as cynically as it is.
I mean, it's a
Again,
business, so that's the core of this here. They understand that the product has to be something that people want to see, which is what we want. So that's where the synergy meets between the owners and the fans. It's that they want the same thing. They want it in different ways, and they'll talk about it in different ways, and they have different ways of evaluating success, but they want the same thing. And I think that there is a very strong chance that they are going to fill all 3 DP spots. They are going to spend. And I don't care if it's to get to 6th place and shut people up. Great. Shut me up. That'd be fantastic. I think that if you just look historically where this team is, I will grant you that the latter days in RFK, the Open Cup in the year where we set the record for 0.47 points per game, awful, dog ass, miserable to be a season ticket holder of, which I was. There was the cavalry coming over the hill. The new stadium was going to change things. It's going to be the glory days again because the stadium will come. And then it came, and then we weren't. And now that has sort of punctured the balloon for those people, because there's no cavalry coming unless you believe ownership and that you trust them to make good decisions that put us in a place to be successful. And it is not illogical for people to say, don't buy it. I don't buy it. I've heard a lot of talk. I've been in the same place before. I don't buy it. And you called out the most important thing. It's not so much, I mean, it's annoying and dumb to have the podcaster saying you guys are making bad decisions and sell the team. That's annoying. But we're still, as you called it out, as people just don't care anymore. They just don't. They cared before, and now they don't anymore. They're just doing different stuff on the weekend. They tried. They stuck in as long as they could, and then they just left, and no one filled their spot. And that's really the problem Team finds itself in.
There are no drums going on at the stadium. The stadium is just silent. There are long-term people, and you can be bad and still maintain a connection, and that's really what this ownership I don't think they get, or I don't think they understand. And is that this team, yes, this team was good in 96 to 99 to 2004, 2006, 2007, but they navigated some really rough seasons, 2000, 2001, 2002, and they did it by very much maintaining a very close connection to the community, to the fans, to everything else. This team doesn't even do anything close to that nowadays. They're holding a season ticket tailgate for season ticket holders. Let's bring back, without recognizing, like, it's all like they're like, oh, but that stuff people loved about RFK, let's do that back for our season ticket holders. Let's do a tailgate. And it's like, yeah, but do you know what made that tailgate good? Do you know it wasn't being able to get drinks? It was being able to talk to people. It was community. And I do not believe for a second that Jason or Steve Kaplan understand that.
I am encouraged that they're trying. That part, I understand. They don't speak the lingua franca. They don't understand. They weren't there. They do not. They are merely referencing the text. They do not. They were not there for when they were written. But I think that it is good.
Sorry, no. He was the owner. He was the owner starting in 2013.
Yeah, he was a part of. He was macheteing. He was talking to the mayor and macheteing things.
No. I'm done with saying that this team is trying. I have been saying the team is trying for the whole 7 years I've had this darn podcast. I'm done. You don't get to try anymore. You get to do, and you get to do things that work. Having a tailgate for season ticket holders does nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'm done saying, well, they're trying. Oh, they're trying. I'm done. I'm finished. You don't get to try anymore. You don't get any benefit. The amount of doubt, you have no more benefit of the doubt. I have no reason to trust anything that comes out of your mouth. The seat's right there, Jason. I want you to sit down. I want you to answer these questions. I will give you an opportunity to talk. I want to ask you tough questions. There are a lot of tough questions I want to ask you. but I don't know for a second I will believe anything that comes out of your mouth, because you have given me. I want to pull up when they hired Ali Mackay, and they're saying the same, a lot of the same. Oh, he's an incredibly the guy at Google that recommended Ali Mackay. Oh, he's an incredibly smart guy. No, I'm done. You've run out of chances, and I people tell me all the time, like, oh, you're too positive. You're too positive. It's because I have to do a podcast every week. I do not know if I feel positive about this team anymore. I do not know if there is any hope. I still want to do the podcast because there's a lot of people who still care about this team, want this team. I want this team to win. Part of me, when this was happening, I was like, I don't even know if I want this to work, because what does this say? If this works, it's just like the most stupid thing to happen. It's like literally them doing the stupidest thing possible. And yeah, cynical, everything about it. Sorry, I didn't mean to have I'll let you talk.
I just meant the ticket salespeople trying to do something and anything to make people happy. I don't mean the owners. They didn't come up with this idea. I just meant whoever was like, I don't know, let's try this thing. They're not just like, it's Latino night and we're gonna spell the people's names wrong on the board.
That's possibly fair, but I don't know, man. It still feels. I feel like it feels incredibly, even for the people there. And I know those people, so those people don't get a lot of say. And I'm not. It's just like I don't even want to give them any sort of credit of like they're trying this. I'm like, no, they don't deserve it. I'm not gonna go and badmouth like people doing their job. Like that's fair, but they've run out of chances. I don't want to hear anything more about, well, they're trying. It's done. I'm done with them trying. They're trying and they're doing it badly. All right. Anything else you want to add? All right. I think that's going to do it. We might have burned our chance, so I don't know if we'll have Jason Levine or Steve Kaplan on this show. Probably not. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you guys next week. Vamos.
Vamos.